Welcome, everyone. I'm Kimberly Boschman, and this is the Intentionally Intuitive Podcast. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the numerology and the energy for the upcoming full moon that's occurring July 13th or 14th, depending on where you live within the world. Before we get into that reading, I just want to mention that this is, of course, a general forecast, a general reading. If you would like a personalized reading, which will be a much deeper dive into your own personal numerology, please book some time with me. I would love to work with you. My information is in the description box below. Please like, comment, and share. I absolutely appreciate and love hearing from you all. Your support has been so kind, so loving, so appreciated. And it helps to really bring even more awareness to numerology, and it helps to grow my little channel. And I just absolutely appreciate each and every one of you. I see you. I appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, so we are, of course, going to look at both the collective numerology and energy, as well as for each individual life path number. So before we get into that, I did pull an animal spirit message for this illumination, and we got seahorse energy. And so seahorse's message is all about composure and serenity. And I think this is this is very, very fitting for the energies that we may see during this illumination that may come up, which I'll talk about, of course. But one thing I just want you to keep in mind is if things become challenging with this energy, because there is a lot of transformative energy that's going to be sort of highlighted and it's sort of swirling about. If things feel a little bit challenging as you move through some of those transformations, just remember seahorse energy. If you've ever watched a seahorse, and you can sometimes see them like in aquariums and that sort of thing, they're so peaceful. They're so calm. There's just this very tranquil energy about them. And you can see all their little fins, I guess, moving, and they just seem to just be they're just floating. It's like they're floating in outer space, but there's just this tranquility to them. And it honestly just brings so much peace to, it's almost like you can feel that energy and it absorbs into your own environment, if that makes sense. So I think it's going to just be important to remember that we are not responsible for the harmony or the peace of others. We are responsible for our own harmony and peace. And so whatever we need to do to keep coming back to that center, especially if things are, if we're going through some kind of chaos or turmoil, it's up to us to find that serenity. It's up to us to find that composure. And so I think Seahorse is just reminding us that it is possible, even when you're, floating in a current, right? Or going through an uphill battle, you can find your own peace and tranquility through that experience. You'll still have to overcome whatever it is, but it will help you to move into and get into the flow. So beautiful energy there. I think it's really helpful, like I said, as we move through the energies of this illumination. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at sort of the overall numerology forecast for the collective. Okay, so the energies that I want to focus on for this illumination are that of the 8, the 13-4, the 9, and the 5. So I think this is going to be an interesting mixing pot of energy, to be honest. I get this sense of sort of like push-pull energy, but also very complementary energy. So it's an interesting sort of dichotomy and synergy happening here, that we may feel this and sort of need to figure out how to best work with these vibrations to make them work for us and the good of all. So again, we go back to seahorse spirit, right? Figuring out how to go with the flow, surrender, but then also do our part and take action where needed. It's an interesting energy. Like I said, I definitely feel like, especially collectively on sort of a bigger stage, we're going to see sort of this push-pull energy come out. I think it's already here, but I think it's going to be sort of highlighted even more with this illumination. So right out of the gate, I am drawn towards the energy of the 8. And with this, I'm seeing potential or increased power struggles, concerns of dominance or control, which seems to have, well, it seems to be a reoccurring theme for, thousands of years. but definitely in the last few years, we've seen sort of an increase with that. And we're definitely seeing that in certain places throughout the world at the moment. And so there really is sort of this need to put an effort in to find a way to balance that energy. So anything that surfaces or is initiated now will be working under the influence of the 4. So think of very slow progress, right? A lot of effort and determination and perseverance. So the 4 energy will tear down to rebuild. And also this is 13-4 energy. So this is very like Plutonian energy. This is like tower energy as well. It's going to dismantle what it needs to dismantle so that we can rebuild where we need to rebuild. But that takes time. And again, perseverance. So if a shift in power or control needs to happen, it can very well happen, but only with the sort of dismantling of the old in order to put in place something much more sustainable with much more sort of far-reaching solutions. So it can sometimes feel like the 4 is working against us, but it's only asking us to be very discerning when it comes to where we invest our time, our energy, and our resources. So both the 8 and the 4 are very, very ambitious energies. The 8 sees the vast, bigger picture, and the 4 is the master of the details. So together, these energies can accomplish great things, but they have to work together without one energy being more dominant than the other. So finances could easily come into focus now, including physical resources, land, food, money, goods. Because the 4 is just as prominent here as the 8, that tells me that there needs to be some kind of restructuring in order to build something much more sustainable that works better than the previous systems. So again, I expect we may see some reorganization, some big shifts, disruptions, and dismantling in order to build something better that works for the greater good rather than the good of just a few. And the fact that it's 13-4 energy that we're working with, again, it could sort of have this more Plutonian feel, which is sort of like, I don't want to say chaos, but it just makes me think of like Pluto or Mars energy, right? It's like, well, really Pluto energy where it's like going to get in there. It's going to, dismantle what it needs to dismantle, break down any barriers it needs to break down in order to gain a greater perspective and then build something much better. But in that process can feel very uncomfortable, can feel very disorienting. So again, we just want to think of seahorse energy and find our peace and calm through that chaos, right? Because that chaos is necessary, or again, that dismantling, right, is necessary to not only gain a greater and better, broader perspective, but to build something that's just more evolved, right? And to put in place systems that are much more evolved. So I make reference towards the good of all because we also have very prominent 9 energy with this illumination. So where the 8 and the 4 can be more like focused energy and more sort of exclusive, so to speak, the 9 is pretty much entirely inclusive. The 9 energy is going to look for solutions to benefit the greater good, the we. And so while the 4 and the 8 are building towards a greater vision, the 9 is here to make sure that the focus of that building takes into consideration what is best for all, taking all sides into account and then coming up with a solution that makes the most sense to benefit the all without suppressing or oppressing others, right? So we are also in a 6th universal year. And so again, that which is greater than just ourselves, and we're moving from sort of the heart center, that will continue to be emphasized now, especially with this 9 energy. And again, the six universal year, we have all these energies sort of swirling about, helping us to see beyond our own needs and see how we can come to some sort of compromise, come to some sort of solution to work together. We have a lot of potent energies that are really pushing us to do that. Now, of course, we have free will. We are, sovereign beings, so we can make those decisions. But if the individual does it and if enough individuals do it, eventually we see the collective doing it. And so it all starts with us ultimately, right? So the potent 5 energy reminds us that nothing truly great can happen without a tremendous amount of change and a necessary amount of chaos. That's just the way it is, right? The world is full of polarities. The universe is full of polarities. That's how things get done, whether we like it or not. The 5 brings the change and the transformation and the drive to build in a way that promotes freedom and autonomy. Anything oppressive will eventually fall apart or be broken apart under 5 energy. The 4 says it will sort of take time, right? It's not something that's going to happen quickly. But the 5 is chomping at the bit to make things happen now. It wants freedom. Anytime I think of 5 energy, I picture like this group of wild stallion galloping through an open meadow. And the 4 is the gate, right? So it's kind of like, again, push-pull energy. We know where we want to get to. We know how we want to get there, but we need to be focused and controlled in those movements getting us there, right? Like there's a planning stage to this. If we just completely broke out of the gate and ran free, we would miss some of the details. And the details are going to be important here, especially as we're building something sustainable for the long haul, right? So again, we have very ambitious, focused, controlled, and heart-centered energies being met with this explosive, expansive, freedom-seeking energy of the 5. So again, push-pull is sort of an understatement here. And so again, it's about finding the balance so that we can incorporate all these energies, work with all these energies, and make them work for us and build something really, really great here. Like there's usually, or not even usually, there's never energies present to be worked with that aren't here to help us in some way, even if it feels uncomfortable, right? So overall, I expect this illumination to bring to light areas collectively and individually where there needs to be some restructuring, some more inclusivity, transformation, and independent freedom. And again, the 4 will force us to go slowly to make sure that we get it right. And if we try to move fast, if we try to just throw something together, that 13-4 will take it all apart. It's kind of like, when you're mastering something that takes time, when you're trying to build something that's great, it takes time. It's not something you can just throw together. And so it's kind of like working with a teacher who, when you don't do it right, will correct you. And again, it's the course corrections. And so that's the 4 energy. And so it's going to make sure that we get it right. It's going to take time. And so it's got to be for the highest good of not only ourselves, but of all involved. And so it's through this process that we will feel that push-pull. And we need to decide how we can participate individually in a way that not only feels good for us, but also takes others into consideration as well. Now, remember, we're not responsible for others, what they do, how they're feeling, any of that. That's not our responsibility. Our responsibility is with ourselves. But we are responsible for our actions because those actions bleed out into the collective, right? So things may absolutely come to a head now, be dismantled, and after the confusion clears, then the more we can come together to rebuild in a more sustainable way, then the better, right? So again, this is going to be a slow process. I really want to drive that home because sometimes it's easy to give up on something that we're not seeing the instant gratification from, and you will not get the results that way. So if it's something that speaks to your heart, if it's something that really calls to you, the persistence, the perseverance has to be there. The patience has to be there. You have to kind of commit for the long haul until you see the results. Again, if it speaks to you. So that's kind of where we're at collectively with this energy. Let's go ahead and take a look at the forecast for each individual life path number now. Life path number 9. So you all are kind of getting a double dose of 8 energy. You're working, of course, with what is coming in collectively, but you're also sort of getting, like, again, a double dose. It's kind of an undercurrent here that you're working with this 8 energy. So for you all, you may see some major transformations or changes now when it comes to finances and how you earn, how you receive, or how you manage your money. So for 9s, so much of your experience is meant to be about a greater purpose beyond yourself, right? So always come back to the why you're doing something. If your why is purely selfish or mostly selfish, you will see things come in for you. You'll see the money come in, whatever, but you'll see it go right back out. You'll see it almost go through your fingertips. Because again, it's not that 9s aren't allowed to or aren't meant to be wealthy and have what they want and enjoy life. It's not meant, that is not, you're not meant to live in deprivation mode and all of that. Not at all. But the why behind why you're doing something, the intention has to be pure, so to speak. It has to be for a bigger purpose. It has to be for a greater audience, a greater population, because 9 energy is the humanitarian energy, right? So think of a humanitarian. That needs to be the mindset. And there's no like faking it till you make it type thing. Like, it comes with the journey, right? It comes with the experience because we are human. And as humans, we have been conditioned to believe that success is X, Y, and Z. And if we don't have that, then we're not successful. And a lot of times that success stems from some kind of ego-driven ambition, which is solely selfishly driven. I'm not judging that. I'm just saying for 9s, if you go down that route, you may see that stuff come in, but you're going to face incredible challenges around that until you pivot and get to a point where you're moving from is for something bigger, is for the greater good, right? And again, you could, if your intentions are good and you're moving from that space, you could very well become like a millionaire and enjoy that, right? Like have everything that you want type thing and enjoy that process. You would also be asked to redistribute that wealth in some way, right? And circulate it for others as well. Think humanitarian. But you're 100%, encouraged to enjoy your life on this journey as well, right? I think we sometimes think of humanitarians and it's like, oh, okay, it's all about deprivation. It's all about, minimalism and not enjoying things for ourselves. It's not that at all, especially when it comes to like 9 energy. But it is about, again, coming back to the why and asking yourself, again, your reasoning behind doing what you're doing. And the more that there's integrity behind it and the more that there is focus on a greater good, the more reward you're going to see for that, the more that you're going to feel in alignment, the more that you're going to see things kind of going your way. And so I do think that there is an opportunity here with this illumination. And again, it can come through challenges. It can come through experiences with other people that don't feel very comfortable, to shed light on, oh, this is where I need to make some adjustments, right? So if you're somebody who, hustles and works really hard so that you can have whatever. Again, I'm not judging that. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but I'm saying if it's purely for your own benefit, then you're going to continue to face challenges and struggles around whatever it is that you're doing until the focus shifts and you start doing things for a greater cause, right? A greater purpose. When you start doing that, the hustle starts to lower, like it starts to be alleviated because you're in alignment with your life path. Not to say you're not going to see rewards for that. Of course you will. And then you can benefit from that. So again, I feel like this illumination is going to highlight for you where it might be that there needs to be adjustments. So if you're somebody who is constantly struggling with money as a 9, take a look at, and there's obviously something to be said for like being in survival mode, right? We're not really talking about that. If you're in survival mode, first you have to get out of survival mode before you can start kind of looking at, all right, let me take a look at the bigger picture here. But if you're constantly in survival mode, right, there's something there to take a closer look at. What is my, why am I doing what I'm doing? Where's my focus? So again, with this potent 8 energy, that's kind of sort of the undercurrent for you all, and like I said, you're kind of getting a double dose. You may see things come in for you to highlight where is it that there needs to be some change or transformation around your finances, around how you earn your money, around the why of sort of how you earn your money, how you receive money, how you manage your money, that sort of thing. All of these things, and where in your life are you contributing towards a greater cause? And that can be through volunteer work. That if you don't have the financial resources to be able to contribute in some way, it's through your time, right? This is a very selfless lifetime for 9s, a very beautiful lifetime for 9s, right? But I just think there's going to be a lot coming in here around, again, because you're working with this 8 energy. So, and it can also be around like power struggles. So pay attention to that. This is not a controlling lifetime for 9s. It's a lifetime of surrender and non-judgment and harmony and working with others in a collaborative way. All of that stuff, right? And so I do think that a lot of that can be coming into play here for you all to take a closer look at and just see where is it that you can start taking steps to transform some of this energy to work for you, but then also to have a greater impact on a bigger purpose, on something bigger than you, right? So let's see if there's anything else. I'm just looking at my notes. Yeah, I think that that's the main thing, right? Like for whatever reason, it's like this, the money, the finances is really coming in strong here. So again, just pay attention to what comes in for you. Pay attention to where you feel like you're facing struggles, where you're facing challenges, and sort of deconstruct that a little bit and come back to the why, and maybe journal about it and see what comes in for you, and then start that planning process and how you can start to make some transformations. Some what are you meant to be learning from whatever challenges are surfacing? What is it trying to show you? All right, 9s, I hope it's a beautiful illumination for you all. And just remember, like the challenges that come in or the opportunities that come in are meant to help usher us into something more aligned that feels good, right? Like when we're in alignment, it feels good. So a lot of times we see like, if challenges or transformation or changes come in, we're like, oh, I can't deal with this right now or whatever. And, we typically see it as a bad thing, but it's trying to help us get to a place that feels good, right? Where we're in alignment, where we can really, shine our light and prosper, and yeah, that feels good. So it's not working against us, even though sometimes it can feel like it. So, all right, 9s, I hope this was helpful. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.